What up, YouTube? This video, let's break down kind of where you can go wrong with science-based lifting and how science-based lifting can cost you some gains if you don't do it properly, right? All right, guys, so I'm just gonna give you a little background on how I went about finding out science-based lifting and how I implemented it, right? So guys, I first found science-based lifting when I realized I wasn't really making the strength gains that I wanted to be at. So I trained just normally without science-based lifting, without tracking my lifts for about 2 years. And then after that, I kind of took a step back, I reassessed where I was at, and I was like, yo, man, I want to be stronger. I want to see my strength increase and all that stuff. That led me to the path of science-based lifting. And science-based lifting does work, guys. It can produce some really great results. It's really hard to do. It's really hard to do. So basically the way I did it was I went by RPE, which is basically the reps that you have in reserve. So the reps before you hit failure. And I think I might have started with a little too many RPE. RPE is really hard to gauge, guys, right? Because if you're doing like a lat pull down, and you keep the exact same form and then you fail, if you literally just swung a little bit like back and used a little bit of momentum, you could literally get like 5 more reps. So RPE is really hard to calculate. All right, guys, so I do believe when I first started science-based lifting, I costed myself some gains because I really wanted to stick to the true RPE. And this is the mistake that I think most lifters make when they're doing science-based lifting. And not even that, just some lifters in general just don't train close enough to failure. So every science-based lifter says you want 4 reps in reserve, then the next freaking couple weeks 3, then 2, then 1, and then deload, right? So I was watching a lot of Renaissance periodization. He really breaks down the science. He's got a lot of really good videos out there. If you really dive into it, you really gotta be prepared to really open your ears and listen, because those videos, man, they get complex, they get pretty confusing, I'm not gonna lie. But I was able to learn a lot, and then I was able to implement it, and I was able to put my own twist on it and essentially make it work in a more practical way, right? So instead of 4 reps in reserve, what you wanna do is you wanna do 2 or less reps in reserve, guys, okay? Because 4 reps in reserve is kind of a ways from failure. 2 reps in reserve or less is where you want to be training at, not 4, guys. So don't make the mistake I did and do 4 reps in reserve, just because you could be 5 or 6 reps in reserve and then you're actually not even making like any significant trauma to your muscles during those sets. So 2 or less reps in reserve, guys. All right, guys, the next mistake I made was not choosing the right weights to do when I first started tracking like my lifts and stuff, because it was kind of hard to gauge how much weight I needed to use to stay within my targeted rep range, right? So let's say I was doing 10 to 12 reps for something, and then I ended up picking a weight that was too light, and then I was able to do like 15 reps or something like that with like, a ton of reps in reserve, because that'll happen. And then I had to stick with that weight because that's what I used. And then the next week, I would increase it a little bit more, but it ended up still not being that much of an increase. So it was kind of just like some exercises, the weight I was using, it just felt weird. And the way that you fix this problem basically is you pick an exercise, let's say, okay, and then you pick a rep range, right? And then when you're first introducing the exercise or first starting your program per se, what you do is you basically work your way up to that weight that'll put you failing within that targeted rep range, right? This will basically ensure that you're staying within the targeted rep range that you chose for that weight. So you always want to use a gap of like 2 or 3 reps, okay? So I'm gonna break it down so it's really nice and easy to understand, right? So let's say you're doing bench press and you want to be doing 6 to 8 reps on the bench press. That's what you got in for just what you want to do for your program, right? So when you're figuring out what weight to use, that's going to put you in that 6 to 8 rep range. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use a weight that you can do for maybe more than that, right? And then, feel that out. And then this is all in the same session. Then rest for like a couple minutes, then feel it out with a little heavier. And then keep doing that until you eventually choose a weight that you fail in that 6 to 8 rep range, and you'll actually be a little bit fatigued. So I would recommend hitting failure when you're trying to find that weight. And then when you come back for the next week, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna do that weight. And let's say you were at the bottom end of it, so you're at 6 reps, you filled at 6 reps last week when you're finding that weight. So this week you wanna do 7, and then the week after that, 8. And then once you hit 8, what you wanna do is add 5 to 10 pounds to the bar, and then go back to 6, and then to 7, and then to 8. This is pretty much the strat that you're gonna wanna use to build the majority of your muscle. It can build the majority of your strength and your physique that you can actually put on, right guys? So I'll reiterate, guys. You choose a weight, right? You go for reps to start. So let's say you're at 6 or 7 reps. You want to do 6 to 8 reps. You go for reps until you can do 8 reps on the set, and then you bump up the weight, right? So it's basically like that. I'll probably make another video breaking this down even farther, because when I found it, it was pretty much the best thing since sliced bread in terms of progress, guys. And as we all know, you want to track your progress. You definitely want to track your progress. And also, guys, you want to be using kind of a variety of rep ranges. So you want some to be pretty low reps, 4 to 8 reps. You want some exercises in that range. And you also want some in the 20 to 30, 20 to 25 rep range, but you want the majority of your reps to be in the 8 to 15 range. I'll make another video going into depth with how to actually track your lifts and go for reps, because like I said, you want to go for reps first and then add weight when you're tracking your progress for size. So I'm gonna make another video on that, but I just pretty much wanted to make this quick science-based lifting video, really to just help you guys out and show you that science-based lifting, all it really is tracking your weight that you're using and your reps that you're doing. You're tracking your performance in a way that you can see progress. That's pretty much all science-based lifting is to me. I really don't go too much into depth besides that. I stick to the basics. I stick to lifts that I know that work. Also, guys, you don't have to be doing drop sets. You can do drop sets and supersets if you want, but for the majority of it, you just want to stick to lifts that you can track and progress on. That's really the key factor for driving growth. All right, guys, so I hope that makes sense. And then also, I want to add on another point right here. You can go from what I did, you can go from just doing whatever in the gym, going for like a pump or whatever, to tracking all your lifts and trying to progress on all your lifts. But the thing is, if you're not eating in a caloric surplus, you're actually not going to put on any noticeable significant amount of muscle mass. Sure, you can put on a little bit and get stronger if you go from not tracking anything to properly tracking your progress, right? But in order to really slap on that size, guys, what you want to do is you want to track all your lifts, and you do want to be gaining weight. And this way, it's pretty much a foolproof method to really add on size, okay? You really can't mess this up. It's science. That's why I kind of like it, guys. I used to just be the bro that would go into the gym and just absolutely obliterate a muscle, but now I realize it's all about tracking and performance and setting yourself up so that on the long run, you're getting stronger, you're building muscle, you're gaining weight. That's the bread and the butter bodybuilding, guys, and getting massive, all right? So if you haven't already, you don't know, you're kind of confused about your diet, you don't know whether you should main gain or bulk and cut, go watch my freaking bulk and cutting videos right now. Long story short, guys, you need to be flipping bulking to put on muscle, okay? But I already made a video on that, so if that's something you're interested in, go watch it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna track our lifts. Every lift that we do, we're just gonna stick to the basics. We're just gonna track our lifts, write them down, put them in a little lifting app, right? And we're gonna do all of our working sets with 2 reps in reserve or to failure even, right? So this is really my way of science-based lifting. This is what works for the average person. This is the most practical without getting too sciencey, guys. This is just something you can straight up, anybody can just pick up, right? All right, guys, so do those 2 things, and then we're gonna go for reps. Whatever rep block we choose for that exercise, say 6 to 8, doesn't matter, can be any on that spectrum we talked about before, but we're gonna go for reps with said weight that we fail within that rep range on, okay? And then the next week, we're gonna add reps until we get to the top end of our rep range. Then what we're gonna do is add 5 to 10 pounds, and then you're gonna go back to the bottom and you're gonna start working your way up again, right? And then also combine this with a caloric surplus if you're looking to put on size. Obviously, if you're already above 20% body fat, you're going to wanna be in a caloric deficit. So you still wanna be doing this, except for you won't really be gaining muscle per se. You might gain a not noticeable amount, but you might also get stronger too. So I hope this breaks it down for you guys. I'll probably make a new video on basically how to go into depth even more with going for reps and then for weight. It's called dynamic double periodization or something like that. I don't know. It's
It's really not as scary as it seems, but I'll probably make another video breaking that down. But I think that's going to do it for this video, guys. Please leave some comments with your thoughts and stuff, because I like hearing from you guys when you leave comments and stuff like that. I really like seeing just different viewpoints and what you guys have tried and stuff like that. And obviously, I like sharing what I've tried and what's been working for me. And so far, over the 3 years of training, I just hit 3 years of lifting. This has given me the most progress. I'm the strongest I've ever been right now, and I believe I'm the biggest I've ever been too. I feel like I'm putting on a good amount of mass. I'm gonna have to cut soon because I just don't like being 15 or more % body fat. Like, I can give you guys a physique reveal and stuff like that if you want, but I feel like this video's already been long enough, so take care, boys. Later.